Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working on another Wildflower Design Co brief, and we're going to be working on the brief called Happy Hour. Happy Hour is an alcohol-free cocktail and the brand values are fun, friendly, exciting and bold. And my thinking of this brief is to create something inspired by pop art. So we'll see how that goes. So if you already don't know, my name is Cami and I am a brand designer / strategist. And here on YouTube I work on a lot of passion projects, and on Instagram that is where I post the most, that is where I interact the most, so you can go follow me on there if you like my content on here. So yeah, let's get started.
So this is my condensed mood board. What I usually do is start off with Pinterest and pick tons of stuff, and then I condense it into Illustrator, and this is what you can see here. And I've also decided on some colours that could work quite nicely, as you can see here. So this is how I would present my mood board and my thinking with the colours. And what I like to include is some photography, some typography, the general colours throughout, as well as any inspiration, any ideas. So here you can see some packaging, some illustrations, and yeah, this is what I like to include in my mood board. And regarding the colours, I've chosen these colours. I had a look at what the Adobe Color Themes has, and I was just having a little look around. I had a look at what is already out there, and it felt like there is a lot of oranges and yellows. So I wanted to go in a different direction compared to what everyone else did with this brief. And I decided to go with red, blues, and this whitey colour at the start. And this could change, this can completely go in a whole different direction with the colours, and that is totally fine. Sometimes when we begin things, we decide on a colour. I think it's good to decide on some sort of path, but you don't need to stick with this specific colour palette. You might change your mind due to different aspects, like your target audience might like this, or just generally this colour works better for the brand, and that is totally fine. So yeah, this is my mood board, and let's get into creating the logo. So what I decided to do was sketch out some ideas of what I want it to look like, and as I couldn't find anything specifically that I liked in like fonts that are already out there, so I wanted to sketch out something and see if that may help or if I could go with this. And I'm still learning, so I do like to try it out to see if I could hand letter the logo, but I wasn't feeling this one. It felt like it was hand lettered and not in a good way. But it is a very good sketch and it did help me go into a specific direction. So what I did was take a little screenshot of what I had here, go into Adobe and click on the little camera button, which basically allows you to find fonts that look alike. And I found one that was quite similar. Unfortunately, it didn't have any solid variations, and it had like spots within it, so I couldn't really play about with that. It was really difficult for me to fix that up, so I wanted to go with something else. And finally I found this font that works perfectly. It really went with the same vibe that I went with in my hand lettering sketch, and that's the one that I chose and went with. So what I did with this font to make it more customizable and personal with the brand, I like to change a couple aspects of the font. So we can't just type out the name and have the logo, creating something more unique. So in my actual sketch, I had the H have like these swirly things at the top and the bottom. Sorry if I don't know like the actual names of things. I'm still learning the actual names. It's something that I do need to take some more time into. However, I don't have any specific education within graphic design. I've learned all of this on my own and I'm still on the learning journey. So there's still a lot of learning to do, so mind that. So yes, I really wanted to have these sort of tails or swirly bits, at the top and the bottom of the H. And then I wanted to have a variation of the H. Because we have two H's, I didn't want them both to look the same, so I added an extra swirly bit. Again, sorry about the names of things, hope that makes sense. And then I wanted to exaggerate the Y and the tail of that as well. So that was like the main changes that I did, other than adding some more spacing between the actual letters, as this was like a calligraphy. So I wanted to space those out so they don't look like they're all joined up. And then we move on to the couple of the variations. So I wanted to create the H's together as a logo mark. And I think, as you can see in my sketch, that was like an idea of mine. And I think this works very well. And it works very well as a logo mark, as the name Happy Hour as a logo is quite big and it won't fit into things in a logo mark in a circle, like Instagram profiles or just generally profiles or like favicons. And another variation was just to have Happy Hour right next to each other rather than on top of each other. And as you can see, I already decided on the color palette and I felt like it did work, so all I needed to do was replace my sketch with this font, and then I did some little touch-ups on the Y, and that's about it, and that was the logo variations done. And then what I like to do is present all of those logo variations in their colours, in the colours that I've chosen, which are at the top. And then after I do that, I don't like them sitting in columns of their colours, so we'd have red, blue, blue. I don't like that. So what I like to do is either like maybe like a crisscross or diagonal lines, and I feel like that looks more attractive.
So before we continue, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and let's get back to it.
And then when I was like looking for inspiration, as you can see in my mood board, I have an illustration of a woman. And this is something that I was thinking about to include in my actual packaging. And another inspiration from the actual mood board is cans that have like a couple pictures of I think it was pineapples, and I really enjoyed how it looked. It was basically like in blocks, so it would have its own picture here and then it would have its own here, and then they would have like a separation between them, and I really liked that. I hope this makes sense. So yeah, I wanted to go create some illustrations. I went with something more simple. One of the things that I wanted to include is focusing on specific aspects, so I focused on lips. And I've decided to go with creating only one flavour, which was the cherry flavour. And then I created 3 different illustrations, including cherries. So here we have the lips with the cherry in the mouth. And as you can see, I'm using a photo here to like sketch all that, and then I'm just creating some shadows to just create a clear difference between the cherry and the red lips. And just generally adding some more, I guess, dimension and more interest with adding like shadows and highlights. So that was my first illustration. So my second illustration was of a woman's face on the side profile, and I really liked this one specifically as it really focuses on the features. And what I wanted to do with this one is basically have like cherry earrings. And I felt that was like another nice touch to include a whole female's face whilst including the cherries. And then finally, for the third illustration, it was another woman's face that I decided to close up into the mouth again. And she's holding actually a grape in her mouth, but I just obviously changed it to a cherry. And at first I wanted this to be another full face, but it just felt like there was something off about it. So what I did was focus into the actual mouth and the lips, and that turned out quite well and I liked it. And it was quite similar to the lips holding the 2 cherries in her mouth, and I really liked that aspect of that. And one thing that I was kind of struggling with was the teeth, as at first I decided to really focus on the actual teeth and how actual teeth kind of look like, whilst keeping it quite minimalistic, I guess. But that just looked a bit creepy, so what I did was create just a line, which I think was better fitting. And the reason that I feel like creating a face, like working as an illustration for this as a face, the difficulty in this was the actual neck area, as I wanted to include the neck very similar to my second illustration, but then it just looked a little bit off, so I did focus onto the mouth. And as you can see, there was another illustration that I had that I didn't really show the process of because I felt like there was something off about it. But basically it was another woman's face, and it had and she had love heart glasses, which it does go into the vibe that I was going with, but it didn't include any cherries, which I really wanted to focus on the cherries as it would be the flavor. So yeah, that is the illustrations done. I'm doing just some little touch-ups, like doing the shadows and highlights again with the last one that I did here. But yeah, I really liked the look of the 3 illustrations. So now we can get into the packaging, now that we are done with the illustrations. And the first step is to find the mock-up, and next step is seeing the size of the actual board that they have for the specific mock-up and what it would look like. So when I'm working on the packaging and how it would look like, I know that when I move it from Illustrator to the mock-up, it'll be sitting perfectly. And what I decided to do was, rather than create just one side of what it would look like frontwards, I wanted to work on all of the sides and create something that looks attractive no matter from where you're looking, because on shelves things get moved about, they're not always perfectly looking at you. Sometimes you'd have the front, but then you'd have also the side, or one of the sides or the back, and it was very important to have this look attractive from no matter where you look. And it really allowed me to work with these illustrations that I created, and it was very similar to one of the inspirations from my mood board, how they use like pictures, and the vibe that I was going for here was like very pop art. At least that's the vibes that I'm getting from it. And I really wanted to basically include these blocks of illustrations rather than creating something, basically choosing like one background color and making these illustrations kind of work together or something similar. So having them in their own like little squares, that's what I really liked about it. And another thing that I was working on here was creating the back and making that attractive. So normally the back is where the information is. So it was important for me to create something that is also attractive at the back. So I used the cherries as the sides just to create a little bit of interest on the sides. And then we'd have a title. And I think I went with like boring facts or something like that. And I felt like that's a very fun idea to call it, which was actually from a friend that is a copywriter. We had a call and she was talking about packaging and how she saw the back of packaging, which called it something quite similar. Of course, I'm not a copywriter or anything like that, and this is just an idea, so I don't know what the actual name was, but I felt like it was a very good idea. And that brand that did do that, I think it's a fun aspect to include some humor into the back of packaging, especially because it does contain the boring facts and boring stuff. So yeah, that's where all the ingredients and barcode is. And I do think that it did look interesting at the end, just having the cherries at the top. We're still using the bold colors, we're not just creating just a blank page of information. So yeah, I felt like it looked quite nicely. So yeah, finally we get into the social media aspect of this, and I think it's always important to do the social media, as most brands these days have a social media presence, and I think for this specific brand as well, they're so visual. I do picture them on Pinterest or Instagram, where it's photo-based platforms. So I do believe, well, not anymore with Instagram, but photos are still a big part. So yeah, creating a feed is very important to basically allow the client to know what their feed should look like and what they're aiming for and what to basically include. So here I did include the illustrations, some photography with including the logo, as well as the packaging and some potential value posts. So this is the end, and I'm just going to show you guys the finished product, so sit back, relax and enjoy.
I have enjoyed working on this project so much. I hope that you enjoyed watching my process and my thinking. And if you have enjoyed, please give a like, subscribe and comment. You can also go follow me on Instagram. Like I said before, that's where I post the most, that's where I interact the most. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!